my favorite writers is named Andrew Anabi. The week I decided to write this speech, someone named Anna asked him to write on how hope can help us heal on a collective level. He responded, "Dear Anna, true hope is to be at peace with the reality that we'll never know what's next. It allows us to come to terms with the way our lives already are and to appreciate what we have while we have it." My name is Sabrina, and post-spring break, second semester went the same for me as it likely did for some of you. Really crappy. Like many of you, I grieved all the memories I didn't get to have, the people I didn't get to say goodbye to. Do you remember getting that email? The one that said, in essence, that our time on this breathtaking Gothic campus was up? I distinctly remember sitting with one of my best friends moments later, hugging her as we cried on her bathroom floor. It was during those moments of sadness that the old cliche became almost mockingly obvious. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. Unbeknownst to me at the time, that platitude strongly foreshadowed another unprecedented loss I was to experience in 2021, but more on that later. When you start at Duke your freshman year, you often hear advice from professors and advisors that you stubbornly refuse to take, but almost always end up being true. The first one that comes to mind for me is quality over quantity. Like when Dean Sue repeatedly told us to use our once-in-a-lifetime undergraduate experiences as opportunities to explore intellectual curiosities and not to worry about completing 2 majors and a minor and a certificate, because ultimately, none of it mattered as much as we thought it would, and we wouldn't get this chance again. When I close my eyes and look back on myself 5 years ago, I see a young woman who was constantly overcome with the need to do more, to do the work study and the overloading and the extracurriculars and the fellowship. I was living in anticipation of this very moment, walking out of here with my diploma in hand, ready to rattle off my list of accomplishments after being asked, what was it like to go to Duke University? And you know what? Sitting in quarantine, I realized that by living in anticipation of answering that question, I neglected to give the smaller moments the appreciation they deserved. In the days following that dreaded announcement, I didn't know what to do next. The idea of repressing it all and burying myself in job applications was incredibly tempting, but instead I turned to social media, and one morning, my mindless scrolling was interrupted by a quote that caught my eye. "Grief is really just love with no place to go." And just like that, I had decided, let me give it somewhere to go. So every evening at sunset, I walked along the East Campus Trail. I allowed memories of my undergraduate experience to flow freely, bringing along whatever emotions of happiness, anger, or nostalgia that accompanied them. The long nights spent unsuccessfully swearing off my procrastinatory tendencies in the Gothic reading room, the distant memory of quenchers, the collective groan after hearing Closer by the Chainsmokers play at any social gathering, or the breathlessness that accompanied each time the C1 circled the roundabout and cruised onto Chapel Drive, revealing the chapel in all of her majestic splendor. I mourned the loss of the moments I took for granted, yes, but I also smiled at the reflections as I looked back at them in my rearview mirror. And so, life continued. I stayed in Durham, I got a job, I healed, and I moved on. Then, on March 26th, 2021, my little brother died unexpectedly at the age of 18. You know, there's an old saying that at each new stage of your life, the universe will cyclically give you opportunities to prove to yourself that you've truly learned, internalized, and mastered the lessons from the previous ones. The loss of my brother precipitated an experience of grief that defies description altogether. I kicked myself for weeks thinking of how much quarantine time I spent in Durham grieving Duke, stubbornly refusing to fly home to my family because I didn't want to leave Durham behind. I thought of all the memories I could have had with him during those months, time I'd never get back. But to my own surprise, there were also many moments of gratitude. Where there is grief, there is deep love. I learned that lesson the first time. In the past year and a half, we have all collectively experienced confusion, frustration, grief, and loss. We taught ourselves how to cope in the midst of instability and how to create our own senses of closure. And that shared experience of overcoming personal difficulties, but another way that Duke has bonded us together. The best way to appreciate what you have is by truly and deeply appreciating its impermanence. Every time you share space with someone special to you, today especially, hold them tightly, but with love and appreciation, not fear. Because if this pandemic has taught us nothing else, it's to be thankful for the privilege of living our lives, especially as we sat inside and saw millions of people lose theirs. To the resilient class of 2020, recall that for many months, we didn't think we'd get this moment back. This is your opportunity to truly relish in the full glory of what it feels like to finally walk out of here in a cap and gown. Take a moment to celebrate all of the adversities you have prevailed through to make it to this point here today. If you haven't already, reflect on your experiences and accomplishments and pride. The accumulation of a million tiny moments that have fortified the person you are today. Class of 2020, it is truly such an honor to be sharing this time with you. Thank you, I appreciate you, and of course, a heartfelt congratulations.